You're listening to Jungle Jim Steele live and in color with Wolfie D.
Hey, this is Jimmy Street, host of the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. Hear the life and times of professional wrestler Wolfie D. From his time in the territories with PG-13 to his time in WWE, ECW, WCW, TNA, and more. Nothing is off limits and nothing will be held back. Thanks again for tuning in. Here he is, Wolfie D.
Welcome once again to Live and in Color with Wolfie D, my man Jimmy across the street, or as Captain Nick calls you, Jimmy up the street.
Jimmy up the street.
Yeah, he put that in some text somewhere. Yeah.
I don't want anything up the street, Wolfie. Come on.
You're up the street. You're not across anymore.
No.
He's an uptown girl.
Hey, Nick's up that way, man. Billy Joel area. Yeah.
Man, John Cena turned heel, bro. What'd you think about that?
It's a current affair.
Man, I mean, you called it, right? Like, didn't you call it?
I don't know. Did I? I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure you did. You were like, man, what if they turned Cena like Hogan in the, but
yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. People are like, oh, this is better than Hogan turn. No, it's not. Sorry. No. Sorry. No, the whole NWO thing and Hogan turning heel, that was like, I don't know. I mean, that's not probably going to be matched anytime soon. It was good. I don't know why they're using that rapper dude though, man. I mean, I don't get that. Maybe I'll figure it out later, but I feel like he kind of takes away from it.
I totally agree. And bro, he like busted his eardrum or something.
Yeah.
Bro, how hot would
he was
be?
Like, you see Cena like push Cody back down when dude was like lifting him up. He was like, no.
Yeah.
He pushed him back down. And but yeah, I mean, it's going to be good. And I really hope that he, there's got to be a wardrobe change. And to the listeners, it's Friday right now, so tonight on SmackDown we'll find out. I'm predicting there has to be. I'm thinking that they need to go back to Thugonomics or like a 2025 version of that. He can't just be the guy he's been. Obviously, in demeanor he's going to be different, but I'm talking wardrobe needs to change.
I totally agree. It
more PG-13ish.
Definitely. It either needs to be, that was exactly what I was about to say. It either needs to be more PG-13-ish or totally different. Like, I mean, I don't even know how you would change it. I mean, you would almost would you try to mimic him like The Rock a little bit? Because really, I read online that basically this thing is kind of like what do you want to call it? Like you remember the corporate, when Vince McMahon had his corporate thing. Yeah. And this is basically The Rock's version of that, which is fine, but we'll see. So.
Yeah, we will see tonight. But which is a couple of days ago. Y'all, it's a couple of days ago. We'll already know this answer, so we'll see how my prediction goes. But that was good. But man, the whole Elimination Chamber from top to bottom was really good, man. It was
very good. Solid matches all the way around. Four solid matches. So.
Liv Morgan is, and see this to people that don't know, and some I'm sure do, but ring general is a term that wasn't made up for Gunther. It just means that you can get out there, and especially when there's multiple people, you can direct everybody.
Right.
And I just really feel like she's doing that, man. Because she's in, first in, same in the Rumble, and stay to the end. I mean, she's just really, you can tell she's on it, man.
Yeah, consistent.
She knows where everybody's supposed to be, not only herself, and that's a good characteristic for a wrestler.
Absolutely. Plus the gimmick too with the crazy ex-girlfriend thing. That's awesome too. So
man, but that Bianca, man, when it hit her with that hair thing, man, god dang. That's a tender ass spot, bro. I'm telling you. No doubt. She didn't take care of her very good. Let's just say that, man. She should have hit her up top across the back, and that would have been all right. But that shit whipped around her lower back into her stomach, man. That's I know what that feels like. Oof.
Yeah. Man,
brutal.
No thanks. No thanks.
Liv you seen that picture of her with all them bruises all over?
Oh yeah.
But seriously, I posted this, but can you imagine, like, she's your chick and you're walking around with her the next day all bruised up like that, and people that don't know who she is, you know they're going to be mean mugging you like, this
totally. Totally. And you're just like, God, please put some foundation on her. I mean, you really can't even cover bruises up like that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, unless she wears a coat and shit.
Right.
I don't know, depending on what climate she's in.
Right.
But,
right. Exactly.
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really good, man. I enjoyed it, man. I'm telling you, man, WWE, we've been talking about this since last year before WrestleMania. They really have been doing some good stuff, man.
Completely. And positivity all the way around. We pull for everybody because, you have many friends over there, Jeff Jarrett, Jerry Lynn, all these great people in AEW, WWE, you have your buddy Brian, you have so many great people. So you're pulling for everybody, but it just feels like here recently WWE has just been on such a positive roll.
They're miles and miles ahead, man.
Yeah, and that's another thing, man. They already kind of were at the finish line before the match even started, so
yeah.
But
for sure.
Yeah, good luck.
Right. So Captain Nick has brought us yet another guest, and this is a rare appearance, I believe. I don't think Jungle Jim Steele has done much. He has some other names in Japan, but in Memphis he was Jungle Jim, and then in WCW. We'll talk about all this with him, but I did some research on Wikipedia because I don't know him, and we will get to know him here in just a little bit. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, it's like we have to go to the deepest, darkest parts of the jungle to do this interview from the official, from Where Are They Now jungle of the Amazon or wherever, Tarzan.
Well, we're going to find out.
We're going to talk to him, man.
We're going to fuck around and find out where he's been.
That's right, or somebody will.
Well, let's get to it, man. What do you say?
All right, we'll be right back with Jungle Jim Steele after these messages.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day, and that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Business taxes. Was stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey folks, to get your official Live It in Color with Wolfie D merchandise, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/live Wolfie D. Check it out.
If you're listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D on Apple Podcast and like what you're hearing, go ahead and leave a 5-star rating. And while you're at it, write a review. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you'd like to hear in the future. It's very important to us and always appreciated. Thanks again.
All right, guys, we're back. And once again, you survived that commercial break. Listen to some of those cool sponsors, man. I appreciate y'all hanging in here. And today, what a cool guest, man. I know this guy that came in, and to say I know this guy, I don't know this guy, but I do know of this guy from Memphis. I know he had a short run in before I got to Memphis, and it's too bad he didn't hang around a little longer. Would have liked to have met you. Ladies and gentlemen, Jungle Jim Steele. How you doing today, my friend?
Hey, how you doing, man? Glad to be here. Hey, you know, I gotta apologize because I don't keep up with wrestling too much, and I'm like, I got my phone open right now, looking at Wolfie D. I'm like, I know this guy from somewhere. And then you just mentioned Memphis, USW. What was it called? USWA.
USWA.
Yeah. So I was like, that's where I know this guy from. All right, man. Glad to be here. How you guys doing?
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, man. So, yeah, I mean, I guess starting out, first thing I'd like to know, man, is, you know, I know what got me hooked on wrestling and what got me into it. Were you a fan growing up?
All right, so I don't know if I haven't done that many different interviews and podcasts, but the ones I've done have basically, you know, the same like you just asked me, and I don't have a great story for you because I think most wrestlers, you know, were fans as kids growing up, and honestly, I was never into it at all.
Yeah.
And once I got into it and learned, and you know, I liked it, and but I had really no history before. I never watched it. I mean, I knew of it. Channel surfing, I would find it and see it. But I honestly had no favorites, no idols that I looked up to as far as wrestling. Yeah. And I had some friends that talked me into going with them to train, practice, whatever. And it took them multiple times to ask me about going down to check it out with them before I finally said, all right, you know what the hell, let's go check it out.
Right.
My friend was Kenny Kendall. I don't know if you remember him. He came up to Memphis with
what was his name?
Also, Kenny Kendall.
That sounds familiar. I don't know if I can't remember half of it anymore.
Pat Tanaka's brought us up there too.
Okay, all right. I know Patrick.
And that's how I got started. I just literally Steve Keirn and Rod Slipper started me in Tampa Port area by the docks. They had rings set up in there. I went down there and trained with them, had the first match at Tampa Sportatorium.
Yeah. I was training with Keirn. How was that?
Oh, I like Keirn. He's awesome. He still lives in the area till today still.
He's been on here before, and I mean, obviously, he's a big Memphis guy, man. You know, the Fabulous Ones were one of the greatest tag teams in Memphis history. So when I was a kid, man, the Fabulous Ones were the shit around, you know, my area.
Right.
Yeah. How was his training?
It was tough, man. It was all tough. You know, and I didn't really. We did some good training down there, but when we went up to the power plant up in Atlanta, I could remember doing 500, 1,000 squats until you throw it up.
I've heard about that. I've heard about that.
What the fuck? Yeah, so I was like, "What does this have to do with wrestling?" You know, just green. I didn't know a wrist lock from a wrist watch. It was pretty pathetic.
Before we get on to the power plant stuff though, like, okay, so you never really watched wrestling or anything, and see, for me, that's what helped me. I mean, I knew shit before I was, you know, as soon as they said, "Hey, do this," I could do it because I watched it so much. I knew exactly what everything was, and like I've trained some guys and stuff, and I always tell them, man, there's just a certain way that a wrestler does things. There's a way that the wrestler walks around the ring. There's a way, and you could just tell if a guy understands that part of it. So for you, not having known those things, did you ever sense, and I'm not saying they got mad at you or anything, but like, did you sense any frustration or on your part or their part of, man, this guy, just not doing it right or something? Did you sense anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure. I mean, I think any green guy new in the business, whether they've been doing it all their lives, as because they're playing in the living room, jumping off the couch. Although they probably could have a pretty good match just by themselves, just because, like you said, they've been watching it all their life. But of course, I was green, I was stiff, I was like that. Lighten up, kid.
Yeah,
that's all normal part of it. I don't know. They were probably pretty nice mostly, though, just because they knew I was super green, and they were tolerant of me.
So before the power plant, though, you went to Memphis, correct?
I did.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to remember how this went. We must have gone. Patrick got his book like at the last minute, and was talking. Another friend of ours went also. Ruben Acosta. I don't think he didn't work too much around here, or he didn't really get too much of it. But he had talked him into like selling his truck, and he was just working us all. I think Ruben went there for the weekend and got beat up by the Moondogs, and then sent him back.
That would have been about that time. Sounds about right.
Yeah, literally. And I think one time I had a tag with Jerry Lawler, and I think somebody wasn't there, and I had a chainsaw or something, and I was going up to one of the Moondog's bones, and I was like, I didn't know it. I mean, I was super green. I think they probably got pissed off at that I was like cutting their bone up.
That's hilarious.
It was horrible. Yeah, like I don't know. And I'm pretty tall. I think one of my first matches there too was I'm trying to remember his name now. God, Junkyard. I don't know who it was. I can't remember. Yeah. But I was, I couldn't even call spots. He told me to duck something, and I didn't. I got smashed right in my face, bleeding. And I reach out and I spit out in the crowd. It was, I look back on that. It was, it was tough time.
Cringy? Is that a good word?
Yes, exactly. I don't even watch any of my old shit because it's all cringe.
So you stayed in Memphis. I mean, how long were you there? I know it was 92, and that was like I was 17, already in the business at 1992, and then 93 is when I got to Memphis. So you were gone before I got there, but I guess 92 until
I was there probably less than a month.
Oh, really?
3 or 4 weeks.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Did they have enough for you, or you had enough of them?
I don't know. I think it was just a shock to the system. Maybe I wasn't. I wasn't fully ready, I guess. Yeah. Devoted, and I mean, we had, Pat hooked us up with some places to stay in Memphis, and then traveling to each area. I remember we stayed at Tracy Smothers' house one time. So it was just like kind of vagabonds, just like crashing at people's houses. And I honestly, I don't remember if it was probably a little bit of both. Like, oh, this guy's just horrible. We can't do anything with him. And also it's like, crap, like, how am I going to feed myself? Right. And, enough money for gas, food, housing. It's like, it was hard.
Yeah, tough. I know. So then the power plant comes in. How did you get to that point?
So somehow my friend Kenny and Ruben and a couple other guys they were going to Atlanta to do those like Saturday night tapings, the matches, and they talked me into going there. I'm like, all right. So I got talked into a lot of stuff. So I'm like, all right, let's go down here. And I guess that's kind of where, if you would say I got my break, maybe, is there. Because I was one of the bigger guys, the jobber guys that called back in the day. Yeah. And they put me in a match with Vader. And I think he was the champ. He was the champion at that time, if you remember. Mm-hmm. And they were matching him up with like 2 or 3 guys against Vader. And because I was bigger, they just matched me up by myself with him. So I guess that was a plus. And I remember talking to the guy in the back, and we later worked in Japan together too. But I remember talking to this guy, and he's got the nicest. I can't do voice,
impersonations.
Impersonations too well, but he just had this really nice. Like, what do you want to do? Really nice. They were talking over everything, and then when we're out in the ring, and of course I'm the first one in the ring waiting for him, and then I see Vader come out, and I'm like, oh, wait, dude. Hey, we were just talking in the back real friendly like, remember, man? And the guy comes out, and he's off the chain. And I did watch, and I remember they got a pop in the back from the boys from the way he landed me on my neck. And I saw that years later, and I was like, what the fuck?
What move was it?
He was his Vader bomb or whatever he gave, but it was just very reckless.
Yeah,
he wasn't laying me down nicely. He just tossed me down and landed on my neck. Luckily, it was fine, but he just he was the star. I was just going out there to make him look good. But it's funny. So I do have a Vader story. This is later on. In Japan. And you worked in Japan, right?
Unfortunately, no. I stayed.
No. Okay. So anyway, in Japan, they have a lot of tag team matches, right? Mm-hmm. Or at least for our company, they did, and they're usually like really long spots, right? Really long. All right, get the heat, you go home, and it's like this long choreographed thing. Yeah. And usually you're separated, so you're able to talk to the other people, but they go back after you get done talking about it. Then you might have one person or so come back over, and they come back and they say, Jim, small change, okay, squishy change. You're like, sure, yeah, whatever, and you talk through the change. Right. And I remember Leon was getting ready for the match, and they came over to ask me if it was okay to make a little change. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, we could do that. And I go over to tell Vader, I'm like, hey, they came over, we're changing something up a little bit. And he's like, does it involve me? No. All right, then I don't need to know about it. All right. So we switched it up, and after the match, he's like, what the fuck? What was that? Hey, you told me you didn't need to know about it, So.
What did y'all do to him? What was the change?
Oh, it was something small. It didn't really affect him, but when it's a long finish, and you're planning in your mind, okay, this is my cue, Hey, he told me he didn't need to know about it, so I didn't tell him. He didn't ask for it. I tried to tell him, but he didn't want it. So that's just the one story with Leon.
Yeah,
and that's how. I'm sorry. You can go back to so when I got matched with him up there, after the match, Dusty called me back. I think he was the booker at that time, and so he asked me, "Hey kid, what are you doing down in Florida right now?" I'm like, "Nothing." And he's like, "Well, I want to bring you up to the WCW Power Plant and do this and do that." And so that's how I got.
I had read
started up in WCW.
I had read that Dusty wanted to do basically like a Tarzan gimmick with you. That's the whole Jungle Jim, and wanted you to swing on a rope to the ring. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, that is correct. That did not work out.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. That would have probably been pretty fucking cool to me.
Yes. All right. It would have been cool, and I tried to do it.
You tried it.
Well, we attempted. Pre-taping, we attempted it, but there was just no possible way to do it because,
really,
to take the rope, and to go back. You've been to center stage before, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So center stage, you got the stage, and then you got the stadium seating that go up pretty high, right? So every seat's a good seat. The higher you up, you still got a clear vision to the ring.
Right.
But if you're taking that rope and you're going up into the stands, maybe, I don't know, 20 feet up, right?
Yeah.
When you grab on right there, and as the pendulum swings, you would be down. You would be down. You would never clear the ropes. You would hit the base of the ring, and so we tried. It was just there was no way to make that physically possible, but it would have been cool for sure.
It really would have. I really would have. I mean, and you had to look for that too. That's what I thought when I was researching. I was like, because I didn't know enough really about you but then when I figured that stuff out, I was like, well, that would have been pretty cool. And then I watched some clips from WCW and some of the people they put you with and things like that. So I got a good idea of what time it was.
Let's take a quick time out and get a word from one of my dope-ass sponsors, and we'll be right back with more Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's tax season, and we're all a bit tired of numbers. But here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Fred Warner, linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers. Abercrombie has the new suits you need, plus all the collared shirts to go with them. The Abercrombie & Fitch Collins suit is the only suit you'll ever need for any occasion. Available in slim, classic, and athletic. Pair with a collared classic. Go with a soft, easy-to-wear sweater polo or a comfortable long-sleeve shirt. With so many different fits and fabrics, you can make a look that's completely your own. Add the Abercrombie & Fitch Collins suit and new collared shirts to every occasion this season. Shop online or in store.
Are you done with the cold? Well, on Saturday, March 29th, we've got something to warm you up. It's Glory Days Grapplecon 2 at the Residence in Tampa Suncoast in Lutz, Florida. This all-day event will be a WCW reunion and feature the stars you remember, such as Double A Arn Anderson, the Russian Nightmare Nikita Koloff, Ming, Dirty Dutch Mantel, Colonel Robert Parker, Bunkhouse Buck, and much, much more. There will be over a dozen stars in attendance. Make sure to head on over to Tickstree.com to get your tickets for Glory Days Grapplecon 2.
But mainly, man, you ended up being a Japan guy mainly.
Yeah, I got lucky with that too. I guess it's all about, luck.
Yeah.
Johnny Ace called me, and I was friends with him in Clearwater area.
Yeah.
And he hooked me up and said, "Hey, you want to come over to Japan?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." But we got a mask for you, okay? Actually, I'm trying to remember. No, that first time I went over, I just went over as, I think, Jim Steele or Jungle Jim, maybe Jim Steele probably.
Yeah.
And it was a tag tournament with Dan Spivey.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first time over to Japan.
Dan's awesome.
What's that?
I said Dan is awesome. I love him to death.
Oh yeah. And so and then then after that, they called me back and they said, hey, we got a spot for you if you want to come back. I'm like, yeah, sure. Only thing is you got to wear a mask. I'm like, I don't care. I'll wear a mask. So I went back as lacrosse, which I don't really understand. They were trying to explain it to me like the lacrosse, it's just a mask with some like fringe stuff hanging around the border of the mask. They tried to tell me it was like something to do with a satellite.
Okay.
Space satellite, something or other. They just had some weird gimmicks over there. Right. But so I went back as lacrosse for a while, and then they changed me. I had a lot of identities over there. Then they changed me to Wolf Hawkfield.
and that was based on a video game character, right? Like the fighting games.
Yes, Sega video game.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of cool. We had a little video game out. We never saw royalties or anything from that. But it that basically guaranteed me a cool spot, right? I'm like, all right, well, if you're giving me this character, and me and Johnny Smith had a pretty decent run with that. I don't know how long, maybe a year and a half or so. Where they pushed us, and we were the all Asia tag team champs over there. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool, man. And hey, I'm gonna do a rolling hot tag, man, and tag in my co-host Jimmy across the street.
All right.
Yeah, I'm digging on my list here, trying to see if there's anything left. Okay, so yeah, obviously you're going to be at the Glory Days Grapplecon 2 with Captain's Corner and Captain's Corner Nick, and that's going to be Saturday, March 29th in Lutz, Florida at the Residence Inn, Tampa Suncoast Parkway at North Point Village. How's it going? How many of these do you do, Jim? Do you do a lot of conventions?
No, actually, I have not done many. I've done some, a few podcasts here and there. And I think I've had some promoters reach out. I think there was a WWC one. They do some stuff here. WWC, that's Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I think they do. I think they do some stuff here in maybe Orlando area. Somebody reached out there for me to do something over there, but I really don't do too much of this anymore at all. It's fun to get together with some of my friends around here and talk some shit, but as far as actually, I'm surprised you guys actually even called it. My career at WCW was so short. I did one pay-per-view match, and Hogan and all his boys came in, and then they just got rid of us after that. And then, like I said, went to Japan. I ended up working in Japan for like 11 years.
Yeah, so, I noticed you was there forever.
Yeah. Well, during all that time that you were in the business, did you see or witness or be a part of any ribs?
Oh yeah, I think everybody was.
Is there anyone you can mention?
Ribbed, did some ribs. Is there anyone what?
Is there anyone you would want to mention, or is there a funny one that might?
Let me see here. Shit.
Entertain the troops.
I can't think of any real ribs particularly that stand out. I wish I had a good story for you.
It's hard to remember everything.
Yeah, I don't really remember anything over there.
Right.
Or I don't remember ribs too much. I think more of the boys probably do them here in the States, but I don't know. We always had a bus pick us up, take us everywhere. So yeah, I don't have any cool stories for that.
What'd you think about in Japan? I know they treat you a lot different than they do over here, or back in like the 90s. It's very different. What'd you think about the culture and the way you got treated?
It's a definitely a different culture. It's cool. They're very appreciative over there. And it'll be quiet when they're watching a match because they're so intent on watching it quiet. And then when they pop for shit, like they all start stomping their feet. So in places like Corrigan Hall was a good place because it's small but very loud, and also like the Budokan was one of my favorite places over there. Which the Budokan isn't that large, but it's like 17,000 people, I think. And opposed to like Tokyo Dome, which I forget how much they had in there when we wrestled, but it was way more than 17,000. But it's a much bigger feel if you just don't feel the people. Budokan is like that stadium seating, so they're all right on top of you. And then you get about 16,000, 17,000 people stomping their feet after good moves and stuff. That's pretty exhilarating for sure, man. The rush you get from doing that is awesome.
Yeah, I guarantee it, man. That's cool. But like they really appreciate the wrestlers over there. And it's so funny, man, because you ask, have I been there? No, I haven't. But at the same time, like I'd be at one of these conventions, and I've had more than one person come up to me and get me to sign a Japanese magazine that's got my picture and a little shit about me in it. I'm like, that's crazy. I've never even been there, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know if it's probably a lot online. I don't know if magazines are still popular over there. But I've got some of the best pictures just from fans taking pictures of me in the ring. And I was like, whoa, that's awesome. And then, they're just so appreciative over there. It is a different culture. Here it's heels and baby faces, and I guess kind of over there a little bit too. That's been a while since I've been over there, so maybe it has changed a little bit. Yeah. But I do miss Japan, especially some of the food. I'd love to go back for just to be a tourist. So go over there, enjoy some of the food, and go to the little yakitori houses or yakiniku places. That was one of my favorite places. I do miss that place.
That's cool, man. Jimmy, give them the rundown of some of the people that's going to be there on GrappleCon too.
Well, we've got our former guest of the show, Nikita Koloff, NWO Sting, Jeff Farmer, Bunkhouse Buck, Robert Parker, Arn Anderson. So many more. It's literally a WCW extravaganza of all types and proportions at Glory Days GrappleCon 2 with Captain's Corner.
That's going to be cool, man. I'm sure you're looking forward to seeing some of those guys, right, Jim?
I am looking forward. I've lost touch with just a lot of people. I haven't connected with any of them, so it'll be fun to see some of those people again for sure. Talk some old shit.
That's awesome, man. What are you doing these days, man? Since you're out of the business,
I am a nurse now.
Oh shit.
So let's see. It was really tough making a transition from that life to like working a regular job, and you're like, oh. So I got a job at a publishing company, and I was doing advertising for them. And in 2008, when the market crashed and the economy went to shit, and I don't know if you remember that time, but people were foreclosing on their house and stuff. Right. So the company that I was working for was a startup company. I think they'd been around maybe a year or two at that time. And they just couldn't handle the economic downturn, and they ended up being a statistic and closing their doors. So now I'm like, it's like November of 2008, and I'm like, I was already like robbing Peter to pay Paul, like all the credit cards maxed out, and trying to just figure out, pay a little bit here, so I'm like, oh man, and then this went out of business, and I'm like, I'm going to be, I don't know, digging ditches or doing, nothing's wrong with digging ditches for sure. It's just that's not what I wanted to do. And I'm like, if I don't do something, go back to school or whatever, that's what I'm going to be doing. And so I decided January of 2009, I went back to school, and I didn't know what I was going to do, actually. I just kind of went back and was taking general classes. But back in the day, I was dating a nurse, and I was like, yeah, well, she seems to do pretty well, and she's only working like 3 days a week, and or that's all that's required of her. She can, pick up whatever shift she wants. And so I still wasn't really sure, but I changed like my major to like science. And I was going towards that field, and I became a nurse back in 2014. So I've been a nurse for 10 years now.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the fact that a lot of female nurses are hot had nothing to do with your decision, right?
Absolutely not. Hey, I work in the ICU, and literally, sometimes all we have is guys in there. There are some women for sure, but guys, their scene is definitely becoming more balanced now.
Oh yeah. But still, even the women nurses, I don't know, maybe it's just my fetish or something. I don't know. I'm weird, I guess. All nurses to me, I'm like, damn, she's hot. No, except the old ladies.
They're gentle, they're caring, and they're taking care of you, right? So of course that matches the stereotype for sure.
Jimmy, do you have any last minute thoughts or questions?
We just appreciate you, Jim. Thank you for coming on, man.
Absolutely, man. I know you got some yard work to get out there and get after, man. I'm sitting here watching the city dig up my front yard and my backyard. So that's awesome.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Where are you living at now?
I live in Somerset, Kentucky.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey, better them working on it than you out there, right?
Yeah, but they've been screwing up, man. They last week they hit my gas line. They knocked down my mailbox, and then they hit my internet line. That's what really pissed me off. So they knocked my internet out for 2 days.
Oh shit! No TV, no internet. That's a bad deal.
Right. Well, man, we appreciate you coming on, dude, and good talking to you. And I wish you the best. I hope the GrappleCon goes well for you. I hope you make some money over there. With Captain Nick, and man, take care of yourself.
All right, hey, I appreciate you guys inviting me over and coming on. Are you guys going to be there at the GrappleCon? Am I going to see you there or no?
Nah, we pretty much just, when Nick has his shows, he funnels us people. We kind of have just a little cooperation there, but not enough for him to bring us down there. You know what I mean?
I got you. So, not that I want to watch or listen to my phone interview, but if I wanted to check your podcast out, or check out some of the other people that are going to be there, listen to what they got to say,
man.
Where can I find that? Can you send me a link?
You got Apple or you got Spotify, either one?
Sure.
Yeah, just wherever the podcasts are. Jimmy, what does he do? Just look up the Live and in Color Wolfie D?
Yeah, we are Live and in Color with Wolfie D on YouTube, anywhere, literally, Spotify, any podcast app, you can find it. But YouTube is usually the easiest for people, so, yeah.
All right, Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Yeah.
YouTube.
Oh, I see it here, Live and in Color with Wolfie D. I got it.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
All right, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Man.
Yep.
Hey, take care of yourself, bud.
Thank you, guys.
That was Jungle Jim Steele, and we will be right back with Ask Wolfie D Anything.
DJ, hit the music.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Are you a pro wrestling fan? Well, stop by Captain's Corner, where you can get autographed photos, cards, magazines, and figures from all of your favorite wrestling superstars of the past, present, and future. You'll also be able to participate in live signings in the weeks and months to come. Make sure to stop by Captain's Corner on Facebook and give us a holler. Remember, cheers to the working man.
All right, we are back with Ask Wolfie D Anything, and Wolfie, man, oh man, Jungle Jim Steele. I wish I could do the Tarzan gimmick.
Dude, I was fixing to say the same exact thing. I was actually fixing to try it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I can even do the I don't know.
I don't either. I can't. I'm not even going to try it. Because it's like a...
That sounded like a fucking dog getting beat or something. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like a level of falsetto kind of, but it's like almost like a yodel.
Yeah.
You know?
Me.
Something I never...
Maybe in post you can put one in there for us.
Yeah, we'll put it in post, definitely. Yeah. So anyway, but anyway, Jim's cool, man. You know, he gave us a good little interview there. We appreciate that. Had a lot of cool stories, especially about Japan. You know, most of all, we thank you, you know, for coming on, Jim, and we also thank our homie Captain Nick, man. So Gotta support the homies with Captain's Corner, Captain Nick, and Lutz, Florida Grapplecon, all that good stuff. So,
and I do real quick before we get into these questions, I do want to remind the listeners that I plugged some people that are coming on. They're coming. We're just having to do stuff in a different order right now, so they're still coming. Those names I gave you last week or the week before, they're still gonna happen. So hang tight.
Yeah, just give us a second. We'll be right there. I promise.
Someone will be right with you.
Someone, one of our very fine customer service. So, okay, we've literally, you know, this gentleman has been a great supporter of the podcast here in the past, you know, year now, and since we've really made a focus on our YouTube channel, you know, and we hope y'all focus on helping us with that. So John Lewis 6196 on YouTube, he has literally taken it on his own shoulders to make this he's basically a one-man Ask Wolfie. So we appreciate you, John, and we thank you, and I know the other listeners do too, since they have apparently ran out of questions. So anyway, we love you all. Thank you. But question for Ask Wolfie Anything. How did you like working with Scott Bowden? I thought he was the best manager Memphis had in a long time. Also, did you ever work with Ronnie P. Gossett?
Okay, so Scott Bowden, I enjoyed working with Scott. It was just odd because for me, I felt like managers needed to be older or something.
Sure.
And he was kind of like so young. He was like our age, and it was, I don't know, it was weird to me.
Okay.
I don't know. I know that he had heat and stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But I just felt like this dude ain't old enough to be a manager, man. I don't know. It didn't. I like Scott. Please, I don't want, rest in peace, Scott Bowden. But it ain't like that. It's just that's my feeling on it. I just felt like, man, he needs to be older or something. But he did get the heat, and Lawler liked him, and of course he was buddies with Kevin and Brian and all that stuff. And so I mean, he was good, man. He was very good on the mic, and I didn't really get the whole Florida State thing, how that was going to get heat, but
right.
Maybe that was it. Maybe I felt like he needed something different instead of that being the main thing. I don't know, but I guess the last name of the Bowden, I understand, but I don't know. It just didn't resonate with me. Maybe it did with everybody else, and because I've been wrong more times than I'd like to admit. But that's my thoughts on that. And then Ronnie P, I know that I've been around Ronnie P and talked to him and stuff, but I can't remember if I've actually done something in the ring with him or not. I cannot remember. It's a possibility that I just don't recall it. But if it was a one and done type deal, I believe.
Gotcha. Okay. And then what about Brandon Baxter? No, I'm just kidding. No.
Old Brandon. I like Brandon.
Yeah, but I mean, was it that same thing with him? A little bit. But he was so, back then he was so skinny and wiry, and that hair, and that was just heat right there. Totally. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. And so where Bowden was like 6 foot tall. And, right. Not like a muscle man, but he wasn't skinny. Didn't have any odd look about him that would get heat like a Bruno or something like that, Yeah. Man, you must have hated me when I did my little manager thing. You were just like, dude, all them things I just described about Scott Bowden. I'm just kidding. Who would you pick? Yeah, it was a she. Where would you put? Would you made him like a Kentucky instead of Florida State or something? Do you know? Because even in Louisville, they would have hated Lexington. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But
and then Tennessee hates Lexington. So
yeah. So I mean, maybe, but. I don't know, just the whole college football gimmick.
Right. I mean, where did that
because
fit?
For that, they were going with the last name. I understand that.
Sure. Yeah.
Still, it's not like, I don't know.
Yeah. Made him Scott Patino and put him from Kentucky, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they were the hated team.
Well, that wouldn't have happened yet. What was the, I can't think of his name. Lane Kiffin. But that was after the fact. Because everybody, Knoxville hated that son of a bitch after he left.
Yeah.
He had death threats and fucking all that shit.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, or Alabama. He could have done something like, but anyway. All right, enough about that. Okay, thank you for that question, John. John came back with one more here. Like I said, one man ask Wolfie.
Yeah.
Okay. He says, at John Lewis 6196, he says, thanks, guys. Let me ask these questions. He says, who was more over in Memphis, Brian Christopher or Jeff Jarrett?
Brian. Yeah. And I mean, Brian was a heel, but he was still he'd switch and stuff. But I think, like I said, man, here's the deal: is Jeff was a baby face all the way up until he went to New York and then the Double J gimmick and all that kind of stuff. But he was forced on everybody. Everybody knew his daddy owned the company, and that's hard, man. That's hard.
Yeah.
To be a baby face when they know So with Brian, he was a heel, but he was also, even though people kind of knew or thought they knew or whatever, it still wasn't really out there that he was Lawler's son. So they tried to kayfabe it a little bit. With Jeff, it was just the opposite. It was out there. He was a babyface. With Brian, it was hidden. He was a heel. So it made it, in my opinion, easier for Brian.
That makes sense, man. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, that's a tough spot to be in where Jeff was.
Right. That's true. Actually, the only time I've thought about that, and it makes great sense, was when you brought it up like maybe a couple weeks ago or something. And that makes total sense about the deal, man, because you're right. I mean, wonder if Lawler did that on purpose, or did it just work out like that?
Nah, that was totally on purpose. Trust me.
Yeah. Planned.
Because there was kind of a thing amongst the boys and everybody. It's like Lawler didn't want people to know he was old enough to have a kid that age.
Sure.
Because Lawler's always wanting to keep his youth and all that, So that's another part of the angle there.
Right. And the fact, they always tried to keep relationships out of things and stuff, even though they brought them all into it eventually, but. Yeah. Well, all right, John. Thank you for that question. I think that answers that, Wolfie. So the third one here is, and now I don't know this question, so I'm going to literally be relying on you for this one. So this is at Charles E8E8M. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, he says, okay, on Ask Wolfie Anything, he says, did you get to see Steve Bradley, and what was your opinion on his skills? Thank you.
Yeah, I worked with him at Power Pro quite a bit. Steve was good, man. Steve was damn good.
Yeah. What's his story, man? Tell us a little bit about Steve.
Well, he was under WWE developmental and was probably fixing to go up before he passed away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really about what I can tell you on that. I mean, he was definitely under a deal with him, and he had the potential and the connections and everything else to be able to go up and do something, but it didn't work out that way.
Yeah, looks like it was trained by Les Thatcher and Tom Pritchard, man. So that's a crew right there. Yeah. So, man, that's crazy. So, you said Power Pro. Gotcha. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
That was I think I was doing Slash at the time, actually. Or it just switched over. It was right there during that time.
Gotcha.
Or maybe wrestled him as both, potentially. I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. Looks like,
I think there's probably some matches of me and him on YouTube, at least one, I would say.
That's cool, man. He was 4-time.
Randy Hills could probably tell you.
Yeah, 4-time Power Pro heavyweight champion, if I could get that out. So, yeah, Randy would tell us a lot about him, I'm sure. But anyway, yeah, said he was passed away in a parking lot. That's horrible. Yeah.
That is horrible.
Rest in peace, Steve, man. But that's all I got, brother. That's the questions for today. So
that's it.
That's
it. That's all you got.
That's all they brought at me. That's all they brought at me.
All right. Well, next week we are planning on another guest, and I think we'll go ahead and put it out there. We're going to have Mr. Olympia next week.
Yeah.
So tune into that. Another guest from our buddy Captain Nick at Captain's Corner. So everybody tune into that. And you said that's Jerry Stubbs, correct?
Yeah, Mr. Olympia, Jerry Stubbs, former tag team partner of your good buddy and one of my favorites of all time, Tony Anthony. Yeah.
Right. Might have to call up Tony and get some questions.
That's a great idea. I love it. Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll tune in next week to Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Still live and in color on the Wolfie D. We got a cap for your dome.
Oh, the sick day struggle is real. But with Dimetapp, it doesn't have to be. Children's Dimetapp works quickly to soothe multiple bothersome cough, cold, and allergy symptoms in a single dose. Our fast-acting formulas are designed with kids in mind, so they get everything they need and nothing they don't. Available in liquid and on-the-go chewable tablets. Tap the banner now to shop at Amazon and say goodbye to the sick day struggle with Dimetapp. Use as directed.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Chic, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, this is Mike Needham, host of the Reckless Abandon Podcast with Mike Needham. We invite you to jump on your favorite podcast platform and search for the Reckless Abandon Podcast and give us a listen. I'm sometimes joined by a part-time podcaster, part-time co-host, and full-time wife, Tiffany Nicole. We talk wrestling, we talk pop culture, we talk local events, local happenings in West Tennessee, and a ton of other stuff. But be sure to check out the Reckless Abandon Podcast. Find us on Facebook. Also, look up the Microgroup Podcasting family on Facebook and see some of our other podcasts we have out there. Until next time, make good choices and always remember, no dollar, no dice.
So that was another great episode. Hey, Wolfie, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Jimmy, they can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. I'm just kidding. They can find me on Facebook. My personal page is Warren Wolf, WOLFE. I'm on Instagram at WarrenWolf13. You can always find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Live Wolfie D. Here's the thing. Wolfie always has offers for his autographed photos. He has a selection of some awesome photos from throughout his career that he will autograph and personalize any way that you want him to. Just contact him either directly at his personal Facebook page or through any one of our other pages, and we'll make sure you get in contact directly with Wolfie. Get those photos, right, Wolfie? Yeah, I've got some good stuff on there, to help with the podcast.
Folks, if you can't get out to a show to meet Wolfie D, there's nothing like that, especially for the fans of PG-13 and Wolfie D. And before we go, you can always find me, your host, Jimmy Street, at James Rock Street on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
And hey, Jimmy, before we go real quick, I just want to add in there, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate, first of all, the work you've done for this podcast. You have worked your butt off. Secondly, the people that are liking the page. Beyond that, even more, is the people that are listening, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the podcast drops a new episode every Monday at noon, and our past episodes are streaming now on demand on all major podcast formats. Thanks again.
Yeah. PG-13 Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame class of 2024. Give it up. Spaceman Jones with the beat. Here we go.
The 90s was ours, and we did it with pride. 15-time tag champs, what a hell of a ride. Rock and roll couldn't beat us, no Tommy and Doug. Knox Mother's dirty white boy who called themselves thugs. T is for terrible, H is for hell. Ha! PG both been locked up in county jail. The kid was real, and we were immature punks. Buddy Wayne couldn't stand us cause we didn't wear trunks. We did it our way, in and out of the ring. Bought a real rap swagger to the Memphis thing. You can hate it, you can love it, we just did our thing. Still true to the game, now we Hall of Fame. PG-13, put respect on our name. Yeah.
This has been a James Rock Street production.